Now, my beaded bliss says, hi, all Kimberly. So does that mean that you're Kimberly? You change your name? Well, Kimberly, so far you're my only visitor so far. So let's wait for a little while. We'll get some Sorry, I was just looking down reading my instructions here on how to make these earrings. If you'll recall, we looked at them the other day while we were, hmm, sorry, got a tiny bit of the sniffles, which is allergies. You know, I can remember when I had no allergies. Now I have a lot. um, These are pretty earrings. I think they're going to be really cool. Isn't it funny? This magazine that we are using for this is January 2005. So nearly 20 years old. See this one. We looked at this the other day during our live. But this has got a really cool pair of earrings in it. And it's funny to me how even though this magazine is 20 years old, these still look really cool. Hi, Zach. Hi, Rosemary. So in just a minute, we'll turn down and we will get started on these. Looks like we got another person come on. Hey, Tina. What are we making today? We're going to make these earrings that we saw in the Bead Style magazine that I got the other day. I got this from Randy. I bought this as one of the magazines. It's a 20-year-old magazine, but these earrings look really cool to me, so I figured we'd make those. Though knowing me, depending on how long they are, the dangle might end up being bigger or longer than the one they have. I was debating between it and the bracelet that's in here that we looked at, which I thought was really cool. Let's see if I can find it easily. There are a few things in here that are really nice that I really liked, and I figured, well, you know, I could make a few adjustments to those and make it work for myself. This is the bracelet that we were looking at. It's a different style of button bracelet. The button, instead of being the clasp, is right in the middle. And I thought, oh, you know, that's really cool. I like that a lot. You know, this button that's in the middle of this one is a metal button that I have some of that I have painted them. So if you want them to be this big, I think you would need to use the smaller beads for them to fit in there really well. I also have one, I think, really similar to this glass one that's up on top. Well, it's not quite. It's different, but it's really pretty. See? I love that iridescence. So, definitely something to think about for another day. But right now, we're going to work on these earrings. So, these earrings. So, let's, and we're going to use some silver, hi, Anita. Oh, thank you. We're going to use some silver twisted artistic wire because they do call for artistic wire. It's funny because I would have swore I saw it say that they wanted 18 gauge, but it says 23 centimeters. Oh, babes, we don't use, that's cut two 9-inch 23 centimeter pieces of twisted wire and then file the ends. I would have swore I saw somewhere that it said 18 gauge, which is good because this is all I've got of the artistic wire is 18 gauge. So let's turn down. We'll get started on these. We'll go over it a little bit before we start, but let's get it turned down. So there we go. Come on, flip. There we are. So here's our artistic wire, and these are the earrings we're going to see about making. Now the first instruction is calling for making, it says head pins, but what they're making is some paddle pins actually, and I have paddle pins, or we could make some paddle pins. I don't care because I do know how. On the other hand, it says cut two. Then the next thing is to make some earring wires. I'm not going to make earring wires. And I'm not going to make paddle pins. We're just going to use ball head pins, I think. But I do know how to make paddle pins, but I have some that I've purchased. You can purchase paddle pins, and the paddle tends to be a little bigger, wider and such when you purchase them than when you make them, because in order to get a good size paddle on them, you need a big wire. But if I were to use, say, this, I think this is either 14 or 16 gauge. If I were to use this wire for the paddle pins, I'd make a wider paddle and it would be really nice. But the problem would be then it's become your pin. And this is, let's face it, who wants to try and wrap, they are making simple loops, of course, but even so, who wants to try and wrap this thick of a wire to make for a pin? It's too much as far as I'm concerned. So obviously we're not going to do that. But like I said, I'm just going to use one of my ball head pins. So we're going to start down here in earrings. Earrings, number 1. Cut two 9-inch pieces of twisted wire and file the ends. So here's our twisted wire. Come on, baby, come off. And yeah, it will, like most wires, it will unspool itself as soon as you open it up like that, or try to anyway. Come on, end. You're in a weird spot, which keeps you from unspinning. But so we need. Let's make a mess wire. So we need not two 9-inch pieces. Now the one thing I'm not generally over fond of twisted wire is that it is more than one wire twisted together here, and it's going to try and come undone to a degree. I've never had any real problems with this particular spool coming undone, but it will try. Oh, come on, hook on so you don't come loose anymore. Anyway, let's get our measuring tape out, cut a 9-inch piece, and then we'll just cut another one while we're doing it here. My measuring tape, the little clicker that keeps it from rolling back in, appears to be broken these days because it wants to come back, roll itself back in automatically. 6, 7, 8, and 9. You don't think 9 is very big until you start working with it and stop. And it's actually a pretty good length of wire. Now I'm going to check this end because I'm not sure if it was notched or not. See what I mean? It likes to come undone, and it's really coming undone. It needs its clip on, but I'm gonna put this aside as soon as we cut the 2 pieces we need, and then I'm gonna roll it back up later because we don't want to take the time to have to do that. Okay, you go over here and I'll deal with you later. Okay. So our instruction says with the round nose pliers, make a small loop on one wire. So get my round nose out. And we'll make a small loop on one wire and position your chain nose pliers across the loop. Using your fingers, continue coiling the wire to form a spiral. Leave 1/8 inch between each coil. Okay, we're going to do the coil that always gives me problems because I have never been good. See what I mean about it's trying to unfray right there? I've never been really good at doing loose coils. I can do a really tight coil really easily, but a loose coil, for some reason, I want to coil it up tighter. Make one full curve around the inner loop. Okay. No, don't go in too tight. One full curve. So I think we need to go just a little bit further. Okay, I'd say that's good. Now I'm going to put this other wire aside. I don't want to deal with it right yet. So let's flip our page to the other side because this side is just advertisements for probably some things that don't even exist anymore. Now we're going to, with our chain nose pliers, bend the wire downward as shown. So we're going to bring it up like so. I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. So here's our chain. Now we want to bend it downward about, I'd say, here. So we formed a sort of, okay. Bend the wire at 3/4 inch intervals, forming a triangle. So we need our ruler or our tape measure. I think I'll use the ruler. It's sometimes easier to use a ruler. So we're going to put this here, and we want to bend it at 3/4 inches. I maybe should have given it a little more room because if that's going to be at 3/4 inches, well, we'll see. So 3/4 is about right here. And frankly, when I'm doing things like this, I actually prefer my flat nose pliers, but we'll follow the instructions like they say. Now 3/4 inches again is here. I think we need to go up just a hair's breadth here, it looks like. Did we get 2 3/4 inches? Because that does not look like the same length from side to side. That's 3/4. Oh, this first bend is larger than 3/4 by about 1/8 of an inch, see? So I didn't pay enough attention there. So we're going to either got to loosen one of these up to get it back to 3/4. So I'm going to just straighten this side up some, and we'll go. And because the other one is harder, I'm just going to get back down and do 2 more. I'm just going to take this, and instead of doing 3/4, we will do the bigger size. And I'm actually going to use my flat nose because I actually prefer them for doing bins like this. So there's our bend. Now they're more the same length, looks like. I'm going to take my flat nose and squish right here so this corner's a little bit sharper. Forming a triangle. Make a triangular coil by continuing to bend the wire, leaving approximately an 1/8 inch between each coil, and trim excess wire and file the end. And I forgot to file this end, didn't I? Well, too late to worry about it now because it's already coiled. Bend this in a little more so that our triangle folds will be a little easier to deal with. So I'm going to go in here. Let's see. Bend down. Now we'll bend up. Come on, baby, get in here. You'll notice what I'm doing here is trying to get that bend just a little sharper, so that it doesn't look like it has a round corner on it so much. Come up here, bend this next one. It's almost saying that we should be done about right here. My thumbnails do a lot of my bending for me. I prefer my thumbnail to a lot of tools sometimes when I'm dealing with wire. So bend. My bends aren't exactly, they're 1/8 inch, they said. But now it looks like this last one, they just want it to bend up and go meet the other wire more or less. So we need to bend this one. Come on, bend. And come up here. That's cutting off quite a bit of wire. That's a little bit more than I would normally let be wasted like that, but now we want to cut off the excess. We flying wires and file the end. While we're at it, I think I'm going to push this one out some and file it a little bit too. Hey, Susie. Hey, Beth. Hey, Cynthia. Oh, dear, Anita, I'm sorry to hear that. Hi, Rosemary. So we'll file this end. which is not exactly the most comfortable place to work at here. Especially considering that you're going to have copper probably underneath your wire here, which with filing it, if you file it very much, your copper will come out. And see what I mean about this side, this fraying? This one's trying to fray right here on us. Push it back in. And then we'll push this guy into. Okay, now that we've got this done, what's our next step here? Now, hammer the wire earring with form several times. Turn the form over and repeat. Make a second wire form to match the first. Well, my wire form is a little off from theirs. My bins weren't exactly perfect here. I don't really like this one. It needs to go down a little more. And then this would go this way some. This wire should have been a little bit more down here. Okay, so I guess that is pretty much the way theirs, though theirs is more perfect. What do you want to bet they did it 3 or 4 times before they got it more perfect like that though? It's not bad. So let's put these aside and get our block out and our hammer so we can hammer this baby. My extra piece of wire went. What are we making? We're making some earrings that are in this Bead Style magazine. This wire is not very cooperative. Okay. This doesn't want to lay flat, which is sort of driving me nuts. How you doing, Brenda? Okay, I think I've got it as flat as it wants to be, which is, like I said, it's not real flat, so, but it's not bad. Though I do have this curve over here further than I'd like it to be. I would put it over here further, but then it would, I think, cause problems for the rest of it. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see what I can do here. Though I'm not sure I can do anything now that I've flattened it, but no, if I put it, if I try to change its shape some, it's going to be a problem, I think. But it should be over here further. See, like so, I think. But it is what it is. So we'll just bend this down a little bit more right here. Okay. Now let's get our second piece of wire out. I'm just going to do that. Let's file that end that I forgot to file originally. Not that it really makes a lot of difference in my opinion, because this is braided wire and it's going to try and come unbraided anyway. That's better. Okay, so we want our... Now where the heck did I put my needle nose? Ah, they're under the magazine. So we need to make that first bit of spiral. See now that wire's trying to come undone, and see it's unraveling right here. Actually, if I thought about it when I made the original, what I would have done is when I got this spiral here, I would have, and I'm going to do it here, I'm going to clip this end off so that the raveled part was, I just trimmed it off. So now we'll hold this and make our loops like they said to. Oops, a little bit more up there. How are you with this one? Okay, you need to come around this circle. And you need to be a little bit tighter. So who knows? I may decide I like the second one better and just make another one instead of just leaving it with this first one, since the first one was a first attempt. So this looks about right there. So I'm going to bend this over a little bit further than this original one. Not too much further, but a little further. Now that's really not too much further, but we'll bend this down. Oh, the ruler's in the magazine. Okay. So then we made this one bigger, if you'll remember, because we made this accidentally. So if we're going to make them identical and not make a brand new one, a second one, we're going to go to that extra 1/8. So that's right here. straightened it up. Now we got to get the next one. So about right here. Oh, go back in there. Silly piece of wire, stop arguing with me. Okay. Now it said about 1/8 of an inch to go. So it's sort of a guesstimate here unless you want to measure it all every time, and I really don't. So we'll put our pliers in and go where we think about 1/8 of an inch looks good. Come here, you. Now this needs bent more because it's not going up into the triangle. There we go. Now we need our next 1/8. Okay, you need to get a little sharper here because you're not at your 1/8. I've decided that this earring is really cute, but it's also a royal pain. We should be closer because this should be our last bend. So I'm gonna switch our bend here. We're gonna go right here. You're not being cooperative. Okay. This is our last bend, so it needs to just be pretty close here. That looks like it was coming up like so in our picture. Actually, it looks a little rounded in the picture, but so again, not as triangular as this one is. Well, actually, this one turned out better than this one. I thought it would be better with the second try. Of course, I played with it an awful lot to get the angles better because I didn't like them originally. And I think I have this one too close. So I'm going to, well, maybe it's not. Well, yes. Which one is the one that's too close? That is the question. Because one is it this one up here at the top? This one down here. So let's see here, baby. Just have to play with it till we get it to do what we want it to do. I'm going to cut this off right here because we're about there, even though that last one looks more rounded in this one than this one does. So to do that, if you want it more rounded, round it. Now we're going to cut this wire off, and then we're going to file it. Where did I put my file? Oh, it's right there in front of me. Duh. Now pull this out some so we can get it to file. Okie dokie. Now we're going to play with it. Now the instruction book doesn't say anything about playing with it, but I'm going to because I want to see if I can get my shape a little bit more the way I want it to be, because this inner triangle doesn't seem to want to sit the way I want it to. Okay, let's get our hammer out. Let's put you aside. Now, the biggest part about working with wire, you hammer it and it does things like this. Oh, let's become an upward triangle. But that's all right. We're going to fix that. That's what our fingers are for. So push it back down into place. Then we're going to play with the wires a little bit till we get them to be a little bit more where we want them to be. So this one needs to come up some. This one needs to go over some. And then this one needs to go a little bit down and up here. And we'll push on her a little bit. Now I think this inner triangle I have here, see, they're not quite the same, and I prefer them to be exactly the same, but they're not going to be, so I'm not going to argue with them. But this one needs a touch more spiral. I think I cut some off, and that's probably why. This one needs a touch less in this middle piece here. And then we've got to pull it up. So in order to do that, I'm going to get my round nose out. And since this is a more rounded piece, use my round nose to curl it up. And now this one, which considering this was the first one and this is the second one, it should have been better looking, but it's not. But they're not bad. But as they say, practice makes perfect. So if you're going to bend wire, remember that it doesn't always want to cooperate, but you've got to make it cooperate to a degree yourself if you want it to do what you want it to do. Okay, this piece is not where I want it. You need to go down some. Squish. So close, but no cigar really. But I think they're workable. So I'm going to put them in opposite directions like so. And I'm going to give them a couple more whacks to see if I can get them to straighten a little bit, but I'll probably make them worse instead of better. Because, like I said, these like to curl when you whack on them. So you just have to adjust them with your fingers to get that curl back out. Oh, this one isn't too bad. But it's sinking down over here some. We want that to go that way. Now these is very lightweight. We're going to make them heavier when we put the other pieces on them, but I'm not sure how much I like them. They are scratchy up a little bit up here at the top where because it's braided wire and it wants to unravel a little bit. So we want them to go opposite directions. Now see, this one ended up looking more like a triangle. This one is, because I have it up further, okay. And you are over here a little bit more. Okay. So now we got to decide what we're going to use as a dangle, because our next instruction is to string a spacer, an accent bead, and a spacer on a head pin. Make a plain loop, basic techniques, page 108. If using a custom head pin, make the loop perpendicular to the paddle. Repeat on a second head pin. Now see, they have used that paddle pin like I was discussing. And I do have some paddle pins somewhere. I just got to remember where I stuffed them at. And then it says open the loop on the dangle and put it on the on our wire piece. And then on the earring wire that they said to make earlier, put it up, just open it up and put it on top. So what I'm going to do though, I'm not going to do what they ask. I'm going to use, I'm probably going to use some Tinky Tots to hold on my dangle, whatever dangle I decide to make. And same with putting on the ear wires, because I'm going to use some stainless steel lever wires, which means there will be two, I got another one right over here. There will be two jump rings because the wire's going in an opposite direction. So when you put it on, it's not going to go straight on properly. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm opening these up to make sure they're opening and closing properly, because they don't always. Hi, Angel. Hi, Marika. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a couple of little Tinky Tots. Ooh, we've got quite a few. Got my bottle right here. We'll dump out a few. because we're going to hook them on the top up here, like I said, 2, because I have 2 different sizes in here. I got to be careful which ones I get. See, these are, there we go. And then we'll put those through the top and hang the ear wire. Then they're just going to, then we got to decide what we want to use as a dangle. I have all kinds of things I can use as a dangle because I have a whole bunch of my bargain bead boxes right beside me here, so we could use whatever. But what we're going to do first is put the ear wires on, and like I said, we need to double up our jump rings so that they'll face forward. And I'm going to put them, whoop, don't drop these babies, they're too tiny, you can't find them again. One will go right over the top here. Now, one thing I really don't care about these particular earrings, and come on, close properly here, is that the instructions didn't have us close that loop there. And so if your ear wire wanted to, it could work itself all the way around and go off. So it's something to consider. If I make these again, I will probably be a little more careful with my measurements for one thing, but I will also close that loop so that if this loop wanted to, it couldn't go out. See, I'll show you what I mean. See, we just go and swing it all the way around and see, it could come out. So that's one thing you got to consider, is that it could, if it chose, it could roll around and come back out the loop, as far as these are concerned. So maybe before I'm done here, I will take and close that loop up, because the loop, if it's closed, is too big for them to go and slide around the corner then. So see, it's already starting. It's going down there. So I probably will get my chain nose out, or my round nose out, and close that baby up. Now, because of the way I turned this, I now have this backwards to where I want it. So I'll put up my ear wire in backwards, because I want them to be mirror images. Not that they're quite mirrors. But so, but I am going to take my round nose probably, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get in here if I can, if it will let me without, well, I'll probably have to pull it out some. And I'm going to see about closing that loop up. Which changes its look a little bit, but it won't allow now our ear wire to roll off. Oh, I'm sorry, Janice. Would they hold their shape if not hammered? No, this wire is, twisted wire doesn't really like to hold it that well. So it wants to go into a curl just like it was on the spool. So I doubt if it would hold its shape any better. It would be better because it wouldn't get that loop up there. Get up here. But it will still unravel to a degree. It's trying to unravel too, so that's always a pain in the rear. And that's one reason why, in general, I don't use the braided or the twisted wire that you can buy in the store, because it is more than one piece, and it likes to untwist. So that'll hold it some. So now I got to decide what we're going to put on the bottom. And like I said, I'm not sure where I threw my paddle pins at when I bought them the other day, because I bought some more because I was getting really low. I still might have some though from my old batch. Let's see. Yeah, I do. So if we want to use paddle pins, we can. There's a couple. Actually, there's 3. And as you can see, they're silver. They're tarnished just a hair's breadth. So we need to decide what beads we want to put on these. Since they wanted paddles, we'll use paddles. If you want to make a paddle, like I was saying, you just have to use your block and you just squish the end. Then you take your file and round it like so. But it is, it's, I have all kinds of purple. Let's use these. It is a bit of a pain in the rear, to be truthful with you. And they won't make nearly as big a paddle as the store-bought ones. I think the people that make the store-bought ones, I think we'll go with this color. I think the ones who make this, the people that make the store-bought ones, melt the top first, so you get the ball like you would when you're, making your own ball head pins, which I know how to do, but I don't have the equipment to do it. Or I might even show you how. But oops, don't need that many. Unless I want to make a double purple, which I might do. You just take a torch and melt the very end of your piece of wire, and then when it starts forming a ball, you duck it into cold water really quickly, and it will stop forming then. But I think I have some tiny daisy spacers. But like I say, a paddle pin is just, this end is just squished and then filed. And depending on how thick your wire is how big your paddle gets to be. Like I said, I could have made one with that 18 gauge, but oh man, that would have been, or 16 gauge, I guess it was. That would have been a real pain to try and wrap. Come here. So we'll hang this baby down here. And they said to just use a simple loop and put it directly on. I'm not going to. I'm going to use a jump ring to do it. So we'll just make a regular little wrapped loop here. But because I want my paddle facing forward and our jump ring is going to go, we want it to, I'm going to have to, well, I'll wiggle it after it's done. I wasn't paying attention when I bent it, which I should have done, because you want your paddle to face forward. just like you would anything. And it's not going to face forward as I have it bent, so we'll have to adjust it. Now they called for just putting on any bead, like I showed you on their instruction piece there. And they said to wire it right on, and well, obviously we're not going to wire it right on because I've got the jump rings out. I will be truthful and say I'm not really happy with the triangles on these because they're too haphazard and they're not the same, and I'm pretty picky about that, but I think these paddle pins may be stainless still. They don't want to bend as easy as they could. So, so now because I want the paddle pin to be facing in this direction, and our jump ring is going to tip it sideways because they want to go both this way, I need to take my loop is crooked up here anyway. I need to take this and I need to twist it around so they're facing the same direction. There we go. And then we'll open this up. And hook this baby on the bottom here. Now, because of the way this is made, this is also can slide around to its heart's content. But because of gravity, this one will probably stay in place pretty well. There's number one. So now we just do the exact same thing with this other one, and we have our pair of earrings made. Now you do got to be careful when you're tightening these. The paddle, because it is a little sliver of metal there that sticks up, since these are glass beads especially, actually they used metal beads, it looks like, on theirs. The paddle can break your bead because it will slice right up into it. So that's one thing you need to be careful of. Now again, see, I've got the paddle and the loop going in opposite directions, so we want to move that so they're the same, or as close to the same as we can get them. And if you'll notice down here at the bottom, it was the paddle that was sort of twisting rather than the top, which it's normally both. But see the little, I don't know if you can see it. See the little twist in it? I'm sorry you're not feeling great, Janice. Okay. Well, yeah, I suppose they are, Angel. I would have to price them. I haven't thought about it. Let's see. Have to think about it. Do some quick figuring here and let you know how much they cost. So there's earring number 2. So they're done. Like I said, my triangles aren't perfect. Well, perfection is a little boring sometimes, but so I would probably practice this technique a little bit. But as far as the cost of these are concerned, let's see. Where's my calculator? hate that when my calculator does that. Okay, so the ear wires are 35 cents a piece. The paddles, how much are the paddles a piece? 7 cents. Okay. They're not very much. They'd only be about $15, $14, $15, plus shipping, of course. So anyway, here they are. Okay, Angel, I'll send you an invoice for them. So with shipping and handling, of course, it's going to come to about 20 bucks for them. But so anyway, those are earrings. Like I said, they're a lot more perfect on our picture here that they have. Oh, there's this. They says 20 gauge twisted wire. If I were to make them again, instead of using my my twisted wire that you get from, the kind you buy, like this is, I would probably twisted artistic wire, and it's a mess. I have to really restring this onto here because it really came off. And it's funny because it looks like it wouldn't unspiral when it's on the spool, but as soon as you cut it, it starts wanting, and start bending it, it starts wanting to unspool or to unwind. So I would just twist it myself. I think I showed you guys how to twist the wire once before. And so I think I'd just twist it myself. But there we go. There are those earrings. I was hoping we'd have, I didn't figure they'd take me as long as they did to make these, or I would have, because I was thinking I might try and make, stop. Just stop. Let me get the clip on. All right, because I was thinking I'd make another pair, because I was thinking we could use, this clip doesn't fit very well if you ask me, but it's on. Keep it from spinning. I was going to think about making a pair with this Essential Links has all these links in here. See, now these are cool spirals. I have done earrings with a double spiral like this before, and just hooked my ear wire in this top spiral, and then put a different put a charm or something right in front. That looks really cool too. But back in here, after it shows you how to do the 8 essential loops, it tells you how to make this particular link here. I don't know if you can see it down there at the bottom. It's up here at the top. And I was thinking, no, that would make a cute pair of earrings with hanging your ear wire here. And because you're making a loop here, you could just hang your ear wire right in there. Just open it up like you would a simple loop, and then hang a dangle down off the bottom here. So I thought those were pretty cool like that. Maybe we'll do that next week. Though I was thinking of doing the bracelet next week. We'll see what we decide. So let's turn up. Turn up. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. There we go. And there they are. That's what they look like. Because they're in opposite ears, that doesn't really, you really can't see how different they are. Actually, they look pretty much the same when they're by your ears. So, so there they are. I'll twist around properly there. That's boy, I'm holding it. So there. So they do have our loops going the opposite direction. You can put them either way, I guess. And I think they turned out not bad. I think they're cute. I might have to practice that wire bending a little bit better. And I may, if I make any more with this particular top piece, the bent wire piece, I may take my Sharpie and make some bins, some little marks where all the bins should be. And that would be something that I might suggest for other folks who, if they want to make them. So that would be something I would suggest to you guys too, if you want to make these particular type of earrings too. Maybe once you get your front loop done, it doesn't say how long you should have that bit where excuse me, the bend from where the loop is at down to the first bend of the triangle. It doesn't tell you how far you should go to bend before you bend it. But the other bends, they all say make it this length, make it go, give it 1/8 of an inch, blah blah blah. So you could take a little fine tip Sharpie and do them that way. And it did say to make the paddle pins, but I have some not only in the silver, but I have some in gold as well. So you know, and like I say, the commercial ones have a deeper, their paddle is bigger, but it's really flat too. They really do a number when they're making theirs. See how flat that paddle is? And that's that's why I think these are stainless steel, because they're so flat that if it were real silver or something, you could break it right off. But so anyway, it's been a little over the hour, and I hope you guys enjoyed making these with me. Obviously, Angel did, because she wants them. So this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. We'll see you next week, or on our regular recorded videos throughout the week. Bye-bye.